Hey friend, Graham here from recordingrevolution.com, and today let's talk about click tracks, otherwise known as metronomes. The question I get a lot is, Graham, should I record to a click track? Or it's not really a question, it's like, I hate click tracks. And I get it. I get it. Trust me, I get it. We'll go into why click tracks suck in a minute. But they're so important. And today I want to give you 5 reasons why you should totally record to a click track. And I want you to record to a click track, so I'm gonna make the case as hard as I can. Why? Because I want your music to sound awesome. So let's break down the 5 reasons why you and I should be recording to a click track. And before we jump in, I know, that some of your favorite bands back in the day didn't record to click tracks, and maybe some of your favorite bands today don't record to a click track. But guess what? We're not our favorite bands, and they probably record to a click track more than you think. Just thought I'd throw that out there. Okay, reason number 5 you should record to a click track is it makes your timing better. That's like the obvious reason, I know, but it's one of the most important reasons. If you record to a metronome or a click track inside of your DAW, you pull up your metronome, you set the tempo you want that feels good. When you're playing along to that, it gives you better timing. And again, like I just said, you might be thinking, but Graham, I think some of the best musicians in the world, they don't need a click track. I would actually argue that the best musicians in the world do play to some sort of timing or click track. Think about orchestras. You have 100 world-class musicians on the stage, best musicians in the world. What do they always have in front of them? A conductor. What's the conductor's role? To keep time. Do you think those musicians need a conductor to know where they are in the music, or to know when they should play loud or when they should play quiet? Or is he just up there just to flail his or her arms and look cool? No, it's timing, it's tempo. It's one singular point of reference that the 100 or so world-class musicians can all look to so that they all play together in perfect timing. These people could probably play pretty darn close without a conductor, but that visual cue for them keeps their timing super tight. For us inside of the recording world, it's an auditory metronome or click track that's clicking along, and that gives us the single point of reference so that our timing from the drummer to the bass player to the synth to the vocalist, we can all have that one anchor point that we're all performing to that keeps our timing consistent. This is obvious, I know, but it's one of the most important reasons that you should record to a click track. If you want really good timing, to be real tight, like everything you hear on the radio or any kind of music in the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years, a metronome is so important inside of your recording because it gives you tight timing. Reason number 4 that you should record to a click track is it makes editing easier. When you record to a click track, you then can take advantage of the grid markers in your DAW. If you didn't record to a click track, then the grid markers are meaningless to you. They are meaningless. Why is this a problem? If you recorded a bunch of cool vocal tracks on chorus 1 and you want to fly them to chorus 2, which means copy and paste, good luck doing that without the grid. Okay, you could do it and kind of eyeball it, but it's not going to be exactly right. The timing is going to be slightly off because, again, you didn't sing it to this part of the song, you sang it over here. But if you record it to a click track, then you can grab within the grid 4 full bars, start to finish, and then paste it in the same 4 bars here. And you know, without having to even think, that those vocals are going to be perfectly performed to that part of the chorus, just like they were to the first chorus, all because you recorded to a click track. Anytime you want to double up guitar parts, or you want to extend a chorus and arrangement, or you want to rearrange the bridge and put it over here, you are out of luck if you didn't record to a click track. With a metronome, with that recorded performance to the click track, it's easy. You've got the grid markers, and you can copy, paste, cut, whatever you want to do, and it's going to perfectly play in time anywhere you move it in the song, which is really, really powerful and helpful when you're trying to be creative and work on the fly. Reason number 3 to record to a click track is it makes working with effects a lot easier. Again, if you've got a recording performed to a click track, then you've got the grid. What that means then is when you pull up, let's say, delays on your vocals or your guitars or whatever you really want to put a delay on, you now can sync that delay to the tempo and have one-click access to quarter note delays, eighth note delays, triplets, dotted eighth notes, whatever you're going for, it will perfectly calculate the perfect delay because it knows the tempo and it's going to line up with your performance. This makes, again, creative effect usage so much easier and faster. Now, of course, you can grab any delay plugin and manually dial in the delay or the repeat time to whatever you want. And you're smart. You've got an ear. You could probably get it real close. That's fine. But two things. One, that takes a little bit of time. Two, it's not going to be perfect. And there's something about being able to throw up a delay and have those repeats and echoes on the vocal perfectly in time with the music, which keeps that rhythmic element, especially if you have very rhythmically oriented music, which a lot of modern music is. The drums really carry it. Then that way your delays almost play with your drums and percussion as another sort of percussive element. When it's locked to a tempo, it's so easy and fast. You don't have to think. You can just stay creative, throw on delays, try things, extend things. It's so much easier, but you can't do that if you didn't record to a click track. Reason number two to record to a click track is it helps with loop-based production. If you're going to use any loops of any kind, you're going to bring in a shaker loop or tambourine loop, or you're going to bring in a drum loop or a bass guitar loop or any kind of sort of vocoder rhythmic arpeggiated synth pad loop that was pre-recorded. Good luck doing that if you didn't record to a metronome or to a click, because now you have no idea you have to like manually finagle that loop to fit your song. It's virtually impossible, and it's going to be so time consuming. So much of music in the last 10, 20 years is loop based. Even if it's not loop based to start, you bring in loop elements to fill out the arrangement. Even music that you wouldn't think would be that way. I got to work with Jakir King years ago, and we've worked on some projects recently that I'll tell you about coming up soon. But he works with a lot of organic, real live band type production. So it's not very loop based in what we would expect. It's real drums, it's real bass, real guitars, and the band plays live in the room. It's old school rock and roll style. But what blows me away is that he does a lot of pre-production with loops. He takes the demo, it's all locked to a tempo, and he brings in drum loops, percussion loops, keyboard loops, all kinds of loops that he brings in before the band ever comes in. And he uses them as like inspiration for the band to make the arrangement feel a little bit bigger before they play, and also as production elements in the final recordings and mixes. And that all has to be synced to a tempo. So even for music that's not very loop based like you would expect, it still benefits from a ton of loops, and it's happening all over the place. So if you ever want to bring in even a single loop, you need your song to be recorded to a click track. Otherwise, you're slowing yourself down, trying to bring something in and chop it up and make it fit. When you have a tempo that's fixed and it's recorded to that tempo, you can bring in any loop, time stretch it, and you're good to go. The DAWs these days are so powerful, so good sounding that it's easy to do if you record it to a click. But if you didn't, you're out of luck, and you don't want to be slowed down when you're trying to be creative. You just want to be able to drag loops in and try them and go, nope, yes, nope, yes. You can't do that if you recorded outside of a fixed tempo. And the number one reason you and I should record to a click track is it makes you a better musician. Flat out, if you come in and you're like, I don't like recording to a click track, it just throws me off. All that says is that you aren't as good of a musician as you could be. You have some room to grow, because world-class musicians can play to a click track. Amateur musicians can't. And I don't mean to be harsh. I just know that from a fact. That was how I was. And I've worked with tons of young bands and artists. And when they come in, I instantly know how much experience they have. If they can't play to a click track, or they don't like playing to a click track, or they say, oh, the click's speeding up or slowing down, I'm like, click doesn't speed up or slow down. It's a perfect robot. All that tells me is that they are not experienced. And I get it. Click tracks are frustrating. When you're newer, they're just frustrating because we have a natural tendency to speed up when music gets exciting and louder. So you get to the chorus, young bands speed up, especially drummers. And then we also, if the song is slower, we tend to lose the sub beats, and we like maybe get the downbeat, but then we kind of lose tempo within the sub beats. And so we start to get all sloppy, and it's not this nice consistent thing. It's just natural. It takes practice. So I always tell people, and you know this, you've got a band that plays live and people think they're great. They come into the studio and they have a hard time with the click track. I realize, dude, guys, this is going to make you a better live band. Having to record to a click track, even if you don't choose to play to one live, that's your own prerogative. That's fine. If you can get away without it live, whatever. But playing to it in the studio is going to make you such a tighter band because it's going to force you to develop your inner timing. The inner timing only comes when there's an external ideal to strive to. Okay, you can't look inwards and be like, oh, I'll just fix my timing. No, you have to hear and respond to an external perfect ideal tempo to then develop and come closer to that. And that takes listening to a click track, playing to a metronome as you practice at home. All of that develops your inner sense of timing. You can't shortcut that. You can't skip that. It only makes you a better musician. So playing and recording to a click track enhances your inner sense of timing, which makes you a better musician. And at the end of the day, don't we want to become better? I mean, you should. You don't have to worry about being the best in the world because good luck with that. But don't you want to at least get better? I do. I want to be a better musician than I was a year ago. And if timing is an issue for you, which if you hate click tracks, it probably is an issue for you, newsflash, then you should embrace that and play to a click track. It'll make you better, I promise you. And once you get good at it, it makes life so much easier because it's never a struggle anymore. You can play to a loop, you can play to a click track, you can just get into it, and your timing is 95% of the way there. It's never going to be perfect. There are a few musicians who I feel like are robots inside. Like if you peel off their skin, like Raiders of the Lost Ark style, you can have a robot underneath them, and that's cool. I'm not as good as them, but most of us are going to be close enough to the tempo that you get a nice, consistent performance. It's still human, but that click track helps you stay right on beat. There you have it, my 5 reasons why you and I should record to a click track. Now I want to hear from you. Leave me a comment. Let me know. Do you record to click tracks? If you do, hey, fist pound. If you don't, will you consider recording to a click track on your next project? Let me know, yes or no. I'd love to hear from you. Start a conversation, just leave a comment below. As always, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing to the channel, and I will see you on another video real soon.